What's going on, everybody? How's it going?
Oh,
Tommy Jordan, Alex,
It's
we're
going.
here. We're talking Cubs baseball tonight and some White Sox, but mostly Cubs baseball tonight. We are in the midst of through the garden history. We're going for 2 nights in a row talking
I
about
know.
Chicago
Two.
sports. We are going to do some baseball tonight. We're going to do some football tomorrow. And I have a brief announcement that I just learned right just now. Apparently, because the Through the Garden Twitter account is not verified or has the blue check mark, it will not let us stream it onto that. So that stinks. But we're on I have it on my Twitter and we'll work on that situation for next week or maybe even tomorrow. But it is on the Through the Garden YouTube as well. So those are the two
Yep.
places you can find it. Maybe tomorrow we can slap it on one of our Twitters instead and then figure it
I
out
know.
from there. But, gentlemen, how we doing? How we feeling?
We are ready for post deadline talk.
Post deadline
Yeah,
talk.
ready or not, happy or not. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's kind of that weird time where the deadline was obviously a big deal in the world of sports, but with everything football happening, it's like, okay, you're kind of shifting your emotions here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can speak for all Chicago baseball fans that we were pretty overall underwhelmed with what we saw at the trade deadline. Maybe some more than others, but it was just kind of a weird time because the Cubs, on one hand, you could look at a few guys and say you couldn't gotten something for it, but really they're in trade purgatory as much as they're in purgatory in the standings. So that
Yeah.
was kind of an issue. The South side that's a little more dramatic, a little more interesting. So either way, Chicago fans are in misery right now. So what can you say?
Yeah, we're going to talk about it all. Couple things here. We would really like your input tonight, those of you who are watching and listening. So you can find it on the Twitters or on the YouTubes. You can comment on this, and I would love to hear some emotions come out. I want to get a pulse of the people because Twitter is just a mixed bag and a glass case of emotion right now. So let's talk about it.
At the highest degrees of differences.
Yeah, but the Cubs are also up
Yeah.
6-0 in the third inning right now. So
Yeah, we'll see how long that
I
we'll
lasts.
see
mean,
how long that goes.
This is Great American Ballpark with the 2024 version of Kyle Hendricks pitching.
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And they have to win at least a few games over the next 2 months. So
yeah, we got some work to do. We are 7 back of a wild card. We are 11 back of a division. So
Oh no, yeah. I was just talking in general. The
Oh.
postseason is gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
saying in general, yes, the Cubs are going to win some games over the next 2 months. But no, yeah, I have no interest in any false hope that's out there about the Cubs climbing back because we're not going to.
we'll get into the Cubs, but we figured in our brief talk prior to tonight, we talked about how it might be better for us to start with the White Sox and then go into the Cubs.
Yes.
Because we are going to get a little bit more emotional with the Cubs situation, but the Sox situation is something that we should not run out of time to talk about because we do need to discuss it. So we will start on the South side with the three-way move that shook the earth. It was
That's
interesting. It was
well,
quite a
that's the
move.
thing. Well, I mean, it's funny you say it shook the earth because everyone was looking at the White Sox as the deadline approaching as a team that was literally going to shake the earth, literally be the team that's at the center of most of the moves at the deadline. And the highlight deal was this 3-team trade where you send Eric Fetty, you send Tommy Pham to St. Louis. Mind you, you get nothing from St. Louis, but then you also send Michael Kopech to the Dodgers. And by way of the Cardinals sending Tommy Edman to the Dodgers, the
Yeah.
Dodgers send back Miguel Vargas and 2 prospects to the White Sox. And here's the issue when you have a first-time general manager.
You're also
and
forgetting where they're paying the Cardinals to take Eric Fetty.
they're sending cash considerations to the Cardinals. And here's the issue: when you have a first-time general manager who one is supposed to be at the center of the deadline activity, expect to navigate the murky waters that is a three-team trade. Because now, if you're a White Sox fan, you're looking at Eric Fetty, who is one of the best starting pitchers in the American League this year.
Mm-hmm.
And who do the White Sox have to show for it? They have Miguel Vargas, and they have two prospects who at best are promising, but are not top prospects.
One of them's hurt the rest of the year, right?
I believe so.
There's been this talk among Sox fans that, hey, Miguel Vargas can be Michael Busch for the Sox. Here's the one caveat pushback to that. Coming up, Michael Busch was a top prospect in the Dodgers organization. Miguel Vargas wasn't a top prospect in the Dodgers organization. Yes, he had potential. Yes, he has promise. But in terms of the profile of a Major League Baseball player, Michael Busch's ceiling was that of an all-star, potentially a superstar. Miguel Vargas' ceiling was that of an everyday player. So you're looking at this move that's supposed to be the symbol of the White Sox deadline, and we're just left asking, what the hell did the White Sox do again?
Well, getting Miguel Vargas, I think for the Sox, like in a vacuum isn't bad, but you want more than that. I mean, if you would have gotten Miguel Vargas as the MLB ready guy who's going to learn at the major league level, but you got 3, 4, 5 more guys than what you got. I mean, you got 3 guys total, but if you had a few more, even just like 2 more, then you can look at that and say, okay, you got a nice haul of prospects. Here's a guy that has been in the major leagues, not very much, but he's here. So then I think you're more willing to see what you get there. But a lot more stock now has to go into Miguel Vargas being good because you got 2 other guys. That's it. You didn't get any prospects from the Cardinals, and you only got 3 from the Dodgers. I mean, the fact that they didn't get 1 prospect for the Dodgers, the Cardinals got Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham, who is still a serviceable bench utility man, for Tommy Edman. I don't think he's even played this year. He's been hurt.
No, been hurt.
They got them for nothing. For nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous how they can pull that off. And I mean, you look at giving away Michael Kopech too. Okay, I get he didn't have much value, but the Dodgers gave you the prospects. You gave them Michael Kopech, but you gave your best starter and a utility bat that's proven to the Cardinals, and you get anything from them.
The Dodgers also got a right-handed pitcher by the name of Oliver Gonzalez in the deal. He plays rookie ball. He's played in 7 games. He's 2-0 with a 4.22 ERA. Obviously, rookie ball, that means he's probably pretty far away from doing anything, if anything at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking at this trade, man. It's just, I feel for Sox fans, man. Like, because all you hear about is the haul you're going to get for Luis Robert Jr. and the haul you're going to get for Garrett Crochet. And then at the end of it, you don't even trade either of them. And this is what you get for Eric Fetty, who, like you said, Alex, has been one of the best pitchers, especially on the south side of Chicago. And then you have to pay the Cardinals to take him. You have to pay somebody to take one of your best arms. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. This is just, it's crazy. And they did make 3 other moves, and we'll get to those moves. But this move was just, what are we doing, man? What are we doing?
Well, that was supposed to be your blue chip. If you weren't going to trade Crochet and you weren't going to trade Robert, that was your blue chip. That's what you got for your blue chip.
Yeah, and if you're a White Sox fan and you get the notification of, oh, there's a 3-team trade involving the Cardinals Dodgers with Eric Fetty, Michael Kopech, and Tommy Pham involved, you're probably thinking Jordan Walker is in that deal coming to the South Side.
I know.
Because as we were sitting over the past couple of weeks, what did we say the White Sox had to find among their trades? They had to find that key position player prospect because for all their flaws, the White Sox actually do have a ton of legitimate pitching prospects.
Yeah,
they do.
They just don't have that position player prospect.
Right.
This was supposed to be the deadline that you got it, whether it was a potential trade with the Orioles, whether it's the Dodgers, or this 3-way trade where the Cardinals have Jordan Walker just in AAA. Many thought he was going to be a prospect use in trade talks. And hey, I mean, it was floated on 670 The Score today. Let's not forget the main voice in Jerry Reinsdorf's ear is Tony La Russa.
Yes.
So is
Well,
he?
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought. Finish
I
your
was
thought.
gonna say, so is he a double agent? Is he trying to help the Cardinals simultaneously while trying to help the White Sox?
Does he
or-
realize he's a double agent, or is he half asleep?
exactly. Yeah.
That
I mean,
brother,
did,
that brother
or did he-
wouldn't. That brother
or did he
wouldn't
just
know a
forget
White
that
Sox
he's-
uniform from a Canadian
I
football
was about to
league
say,
uniform.
or did he just forget that he's actually operating with the White Sox instead of the Cardinals?
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you hear them say like there's these indications that Tony La Russa has made, and indications when you hear from like Chris Getz or Pedro Grifol or anybody within that organization, it makes them sound like Tony La Russa is running the White Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it
Yeah.
was funny too, because so I was in Pittsburgh for the weekend, and I was driving back on Monday morning when this trade broke through and happened. Very funny because I was listening to 670 The Score. It was Bernstein and Holmes, and they were interviewing Dan Wiederer about the Bears. And then you know how Bernstein likes to be the one to break news.
Yes.
Yeah.
He broke
loves
the
it.
trade and like stopped the Wiederer interview to break the news of the trade and was like, "We don't have all the information. We'll have it for you soon." And then he changed the information like 4 times, interrupted
lot of
Wiederer
mixed
every
reporting,
single
yeah.
time, and then finally Lawrence was like, "Okay, why don't we talk to Dan Wiederer and then we'll figure it out after." And then Bernsey was like trying to argue with Holmes on the air while Wiederer is on the line trying to talk about the Bears. I was like, "Oh my god, this is just torture." But anyways,
Well, yeah, because I heard a little bit of it too. I was,
was
off
so
on
bad.
Monday. I was off on Monday, and I was driving to meet my friend up in Des Plaines because we were going to go to the Des Plaines Golf Center for a driving range day because he was off, I was off. So I'm listening to all that unfold, and I mean, the reports changed how many times. They said this one, they kept saying this one Dodger prospect was in it, and then I think it was Jeff Passan that said, no, he's not in it. And then they got the Vargases mixed up, of which Vargas was even in. Was it one of their top prospects? I think he was like their 7th prospect.
Well, they said that they said the Cardinals prospect like 7 times. It was like, he's in the trade. He's in the trade. And then they had to come back from commercial and be like, yeah, he's not in the trade.
He's not in the trade, right? Because they kept saying, this is the trade that actually happened. And I kept waiting for them to say, this Cardinal prospect has been added. This guy's also been thrown in. And it never came. Because how many times have we seen? Because if you remember, even just to use an example, do you remember the Dylan Cease deal where it sounded like the Sox got like 2 guys, and then it's like, oh no, they got this guy and this guy as well around Drew Thorpe? That's kind of what I was expecting to happen, and it didn't. I'm just like, really, really?
Well,
I mean,
they
more
are.
than anything, I was pissed about the Cardinals getting, but you know.
There is still a player to be named later or cash considerations coming to the White Sox, but yeah, that's what I was about to say. They're absolutely going to take cash.
To be fair, no one said that it's not Shohei Ohtani. So maybe it's
sure.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Hey, I'm just saying. No. No, I mean, honestly, if you're a White Sox fan, you have to look at this deadline, and without the first year being completed of Chris Getz, you have to wonder what the direction is, because in a standard rebuild, you're probably and your Getz, so you took over in 2024. In a standard rebuild, you're probably looking at contending in 2026 or 2027. But right now with this White Sox team, you're probably talking 2029 or 2030. They have no position player prospects, and short of trading Garrett Gaucher maybe in this offseason, maybe trading Luis Robert, but yeah, I mean, this rebuild is already in jeopardy.
Well, let's get to the other 3 moves, and then we'll keep this conversation going too. So Tanner Banks is going to Philly for a shortstop by the name of William Bergolla. And then Paul DeYoung did my favorite thing ever when a guy was traded against the team that they're playing and just switched dugouts. He went to Kansas City for a right-handed pitcher named Gerald Rosado. And then the shocker of the day, I would say, was Baltimore decided to take Eloy Jimenez off of the White Sox hands for a left-handed pitcher by the name of Trey McGaw. So the White Sox were able to move Eloy Jimenez, which is just crazy.
That if you would have told me that they wouldn't move Garrett Crochet or Luis Robert, but they would move Eloy Jimenez. And I mean, like, let's be real. The Eloy Jimenez move was a dump. That's all it was.
Yeah.
1,000%. And Baltimore was like, we have room. We're obviously not going to re-sign him. Like, maybe we get a spark out of something.
Felt like a move just to make a move for them. I mean,
for sure. Yeah. I mean, Baltimore did some very interesting things at this deadline, like moving on from Austin Hayes, who is lighting it up for Philly so far. That was kind of a shocker to me. And then they did a couple other swaps that was kind of went under the radar, but very interesting moves. But to take Eloy, it's like, bro, all right.
I mean, maybe you hope it's kind of like what Atlanta did a couple years back with Soler. Maybe you just hope you get as much bats as possible because you never know who's going to get hot in the postseason.
And maybe Eloy will want to like turn it up for a team that's actually winning.
And here's the thing: when Eloy is healthy, I know that's a huge caveat, and even this season alone, we've seen stretches where he's a very successful hitter. He hasn't had the power this year, but he still is a very competent hitter. So maybe if you're the Orioles, you don't really need him to be healthy as an everyday player. You just need him to get on the bench. Maybe he DHs a couple times a week. Maybe he gets hot. If he gets hot in the postseason, maybe you ride that out a little bit. But
when that swing is on, the swing's on.
Yeah.
Hasn't been this year. I mean, even when he's been on the, I mean, this is as bad as we've seen him look because he can't even move out there. It's pretty brutal. And I think that people can make very interesting comps to Jorge Soler and, what he did with Atlanta in 2021, which, by the way, he was traded back to Atlanta, funny enough. But
that was a fun trade.
Yeah, I agree. But, like, at least Soler seemed to be a bit more definitive of what he was doing, where with Eloy, you're just kind of bringing it on. It's like, all right. I mean, did he even play today? The Orioles played today. I don't even know if he played or gotten at bat or what. But
I will look for you while you finish your thought.
Yeah, so I don't know. What was interesting to me was seeing the reaction from White Sox Twitter, because this was supposed to be the cornerstone of a cornerstone of your rebuild, right? I mean, he was a cornerstone. He was supposed to be arguably the number one home run bopper for the next decade or so on the South Side. And it was going to feel even sweeter knowing that he used to be on the Cubs and you traded away Quintana, and Quintana was mediocre with the Cubs. And, here is Eloy being this big hero and the thanks Cubs and all that stuff. But now they were happy to get rid of him. They were done with him. They were over the injuries. They were over just kind of his demeanor. They were celebrating. And did you guys hear the trade show with the White Sox, like the show they have on NBC Sports Chicago?
Yeah, with Ryan McGuffey.
Yeah, because like he was like, "Get lost, Eloy. Good riddance."
Yeah.
Yeah. And even I don't know that's local, but even on the score they were kind of talking. Well, they strongly insinuated that with this season, just like what you were saying, Alex, the Sox were pretty much done with Eloy. I mean, there was times when they would send him to Arizona, and you would literally have to beg him just to do the very bare minimum in terms of his recovery. So, it's if there was any move that truly signaled the failed rebuild, it was what happened at the deadline yesterday when they just gave Eloy away to just strip the cash, because it highlights everything that went wrong. And it was 4 years ago when Eloy was up and hitting, when they had Moncada signed, they had Luis Robert signed, when people were looking like this team is going to be the team in the next decade, and now we're here.
It was the Passan tweet that it started circling yesterday afternoon, but it was Passan saying how everybody was locked up from 2024 to 2028.
Right.
Yeah.
Eloy did not play today. He is on their depth chart, but he is not on their active roster yet.
Okay.
He was added to the 40-man. So maybe he shows up this weekend for them. He's listed as a designated hitter also.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
obviously.
that's the thing with Baltimore's team. Eloy probably isn't an everyday player.
No.
Yeah.
Probably against lefties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would say yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, boys. Any more White Sox thoughts before we move on to what everybody's here for?
There was
No,
one
yeah.
thing I wanted to mention really quick
Of course.
is this whole thing with Garrett Crochet and the relationship with the front office when Chris Getz came out saying, "Oh, it was hurtful. We had a good relationship, but it was hurtful. It took us aback." It's just like there's another dramatic point in this whole thing, and seems like that had a pretty big impact on how this whole thing went.
Yeah.
Because that was not insignificant. I
Yeah.
think a lot of teams would have loved to have traded for him, but I think that his value changed with what he wanted to do. And I get it. Secure the bag. You don't know with your injury history how long you're going to be at the top of your game. I get it. But, again, it seemed like there were some ruffled feathers there. So it's just kind of another thing you have to deal with. So I don't want to go too in depth about it, but just something I'd point out.
No, yeah. I mean,
Worth pointing out.
you hit the nail on the head. And I think with that exchange that Guts had with the media, that just is another thing we have to point to of Guts' inexperience.
Yeah.
Sure, your feelings may have been hurt, but you might be mad that Crochet took it public. You don't have to take it public as well. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
because now what's going to happen is we are going to examine from here to the end of the season every Garrett Crochet appearance, every Garrett Crochet exit from a game, and we're going to sit here and be like, oh, is that Garrett Crochet sticking it to the White Sox? Is that the White Sox sticking it to Crochet? Because they just create this facade or this belief of discontent between each side. And yeah, it's just the deadline and what happened with Garrett Crochet is a big warning sign for the Chris Getz tenure as the.
But-
And
Yeah,
what do other
and-
people think about that when they see that? Do other
Yeah, I was
players
about
want to
to-
be part of
Right.
that? You know?
Well, I was about
Right.
to say, like, find me one person that's on the White Sox side of this right here, because
Right,
like they don't have
exactly.
any, they don't have anybody that's like, you
Right.
know what, the White Sox know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Even White Sox fans are done with the team.
Exactly, yeah.
Sounds like the veterans are done with Pedro Grifol and that whole fake
Yeah.
motivational thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there was the whole I didn't make running and batting practice mandatory, but also I made everybody do running and batting
Yeah,
practice, which is
If you want to be
Strange
remembered,
times.
be the worst team ever. It's like, okay.
crazy.
Yeah. Strange times.
Well, that might put a bow on the White Sox for us until 2025. Hand up.
Probably.
I'm just being honest here. Of
Yeah,
course,
I mean-
we'll talk about things as they happen. I expect a firing here at some point, but what do I know?
I mean, realistically, the
17-game
next time
losing streak.
realistically, the next time
That's a
we'll talk about
10th of
White
the
Sox-
season
It's nuts.
in a row.
And it's their second 10 plus. It's their second
Third.
plus game losing streak.
Isn't
Oh,
it
yeah.
third? I think they've done a
not-
14 twice.
I've lost count.
I think they've done
lost count.
14 losses in a row twice.
Have they?
Yeah, twice.
I
Twice.
think
yeah,
so.
yeah.
And then this
No, I
one's
think
17.
this is a second. No, I think this
Was
is
this
like-
a, all right? Sorry.
They've had 3 10-plus game losing streaks, 2 14 plus game.
All right. And a
Okay,
17.
that makes more sense. That makes
Yeah,
more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
The point is they stink. They stink.
Yeah. So, like you said, next time we'll probably be talking about them is on October when we talk
Yeah.
about AJ Przinsky becoming the manager.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Also, while we have a moment here, happy birthday to Joe Johnson of Avi Shirts.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe.
I'm wearing an Avi shirt right now. The Kerry Wood 20 strikeout,
Oh, yeah.
the
Beautiful.
scorecard shirt.
Beautiful.
It's
There's
my
some
favorite
new,
Avi shirt.
there are some new Bears shirts that are up on the website right now. So if you want to go check those out, avishirts.com. And maybe you'll be seeing us wearing some in a couple weeks. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Keep an eye
That's
out.
a tease.
That's a tease in the business,
tease.
but it's a super big tease because a reminder before we get into the Cubs, we are talking all Bears tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Starting at 6:00, we're going
Ooh.
to take you right into Bears football at
Yeah.
7:00. So come talk Bears with us. We're going to talk about the roster. We're going to talk about Hard Knocks. Maybe I do another demonstration of what I saw at training camp. I
You
don't
have time
know.
to practice now.
Yeah, I had time to
it
find a
just
football too.
Yeah,
it
there
just
you
feels
go.
it just feels good, and yeah. So
Yeah,
join
I
us
can't.
tomorrow. 'Cause,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what? Last December or whenever we started this and we started talking Bears football, I was sick of talking Bears football.
So was I.
I'm ready to talk some
Here
Bears
we are.
football.
I know.
So
Isn't
yeah.
that lovely?
All right, so we'll get to that tomorrow, but we do have one more team in town that we need to talk about tonight that might take about an hour and a half to discuss. The Chicago Cubs are the Chicago Cubs. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it, talk it through, talk about our feels. But this team did minimal at the deadline. I'd say. I think that's a fair thing to say. Is minimal. But Jordan, you seem puzzled, so we'll get to it. But it was three big moves that sent Christopher Morel to Tampa. It sent, what else do I have here? It sent a couple prospects to Toronto, and it sent Mark Leiter Jr. to the Yanks. We got some stuff in return that we'll talk about. Overall, I think the big one was Christopher Morel moving to Tampa. People seem very upset about that. Of course, Christopher Morel, very big fan favorite. And then, of course, he goes to Tampa and hits 2 home runs in 2 days, as Cubs do after they're traded from the team. Chris Bryant homered in his first game. Javi Baez homered in his first game. Rizzo homered in his first game. It's just how it goes.
It's tradition.
Yes, it's a tradition like no other. So, boys, how we feeling?
No, I would say good, and I would push back that they had a quiet deadline day. Yes, their moves at the deadline were impactful.
I should have
because
said quiet instead of minimal. You're correct.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they had a quiet deadline day for sure, and I think where we get lost in the wording as Cubs fans is rightfully so. We get attached to the players that we watch day in and day out, and when there's a player like Christopher Morel who comes, shows that energy from game one, shows the infectious personality from game one that he has, we're going to leech ourselves onto him. We're going to think that the highs are higher than they really are, and we're going to turn a blind eye to the lows. And why I say that is, as a player perspective, if you strip the names, the Cubs got the better third baseman in the trade that they made with the Tampa Bay Rays, and it's really not even close.
Not at all.
Isaac Paredes has been a consistent offensive player for the past 3 years. He's in the slump right now. Unfortunate time for the Cubs to acquire him, but when you look at his profile for the past 3 years, there's a consistent offensive player there with a trait that the Cubs don't have, and that's pull power. I think with this move, people are getting their personal feelings about Morel involved with their opinion. And what I mean by that is we're seeing a lot of hipster reactions to what the Cubs did. Some people are trying to squint and be like, it's a penny pinching move. No, if you
No,
look,
I don't think this has anything to do with financials.
yeah, if you look at the Cubs offense, what have we been saying since May? It's been broken. It needs a major change.
What have we been saying about third base for like 5 years?
Right. My only thing that pisses me off is something Jed Hoyer said yesterday in talking about the trade. He said that they've had their eye on Paredes for a month. And here's my issue. If we go back to June when the division was still close, when the wild card was still close, what did we tell Jed to do? We told him to change up the lineup, bring in help. So, sure, the Rays might not have been inclined to move Paredes in June as much as they were on Sunday. The Cubs could have made it worth their while. So, the only issue I had is that it was 4 weeks too late. But in keeping with the trend of the deadline, focusing on 2025, I love the move.
I'm glad that you said what you said about the June thing, because I was getting ready to. I'm glad you guys are sitting down. I was getting ready to defend Jed Hoyer But your statement of this, how close we were in June, and we knew it was broken. You got to make a move, and he's probably thinking, oh, and the Rays weren't inclined to move him until now. Obviously, there were a few different teams that were involved in the talks for Paredes, but yeah, the Cubs definitely had the meat to go and do things to stuff at a time when they really needed to go do things to stuff. And at the end of the day, the Cubs doubled the amount of all-stars on this team. So that's cool. But yeah, I've been mad at Morel for the year. He's batting 190 something. I think he's up to 199 now with the Rays. And it's been broken. His defense did improve at third base, but still saying that, it was still subpar for a major league third baseman. We've been saying it for a very long time. Paredes plays an okay third base. He plays first base. He can hop into places in the infield where we need him to confidently. Yeah, he's a natural thank you. That's a great way to put it. He's more natural defensively. And at the plate, he's going through a tough time right now, but he's also shown that when he has those tough times, he knows how to bounce out of it.
He's been like a 130-ish WRC plus hitter over the past few years, and
he's been a top 10 in that category this year alone.
Yes. And if he was on the team last year on the Cubs, he would have been the most productive hitter by WRC plus. He would have had a few notches over Bellinger even if he was on the team last year. And I mean, he was like a near 5-win player last year. And listen, I get it. The Rays are really good at this stuff, and the Rays are good at knowing when to make trades. The Rays get the most out of a lot of players like this. And, Tropicana Field isn't Wrigley Field. And listen, I think Christopher Morel can really do good things in Tampa, and I hope he does. I like the guy. I think he's got talent, obviously an elite bat speed, but, I'm okay with giving things a little shake. Is Paredes going to hit 300? No, but he's better at making contact. He's, in general, in his career, pretty good with runners in scoring position. At least he's been good with runners in scoring position this year. So I'm okay with the move. I'm fine with the move. Will it work out swimmingly like we hope? We'll see. And I know there are people concerned about the pull power at Wrigley Field and the differences there, but you can hit the ball at Wrigley Field depending on the day, and pulling it could be great. Pulling it could be bad. You just don't know, because there are days you can simulate a pulled ball at Wrigley. Well, guess what? If it's a summer day and the wind's blowing out, that's going to carry. So you got to look at both sides of that coin.
That's the other thing too, is that everybody was, he's never hit an opposite field home run. Yeah, but he makes contact opposite field. Like, he goes up to the plate and he makes a whole lot of contact.
You know who legitimately never hit a opposite field home run?
Who?
Ernie Banks. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Really?
Really.
Did not know that.
512 home runs.
Right.
Didn't go the opposite way ever.
There you heard it here first.
Anyway.
Alex thinks Paredes is going to be Ernie Banks.
Totally.
Hall of Fame player. That's exactly what he said.
No, but in all seriousness, that this guy swings the bat and he makes contact with the ball and he gets more hits than Morel was getting. And yes, Morel is hitting bombs, and we lost the leader of home runs on our team. Okay, but we also just gained probably like double the amount of doubles from Paredes,
Yeah, I mean, you gained 50 points in batting average. You lost a little bit of power. But
this team didn't have any power to start with. Like,
and
whatever.
Here's a thing of all the people that like to scroll Baseball Savant and think they're like, oh, well, he only has 11 stat-casted home runs at Wrigley Field. One, Baseball Savant, to Alex's point, doesn't take in fact the summer weather at Wrigley. So when you're looking at those 11 home runs, it's just standard
0 miles per hour.
Right. Two, the Cubs have more information than you. So if you think just because you can score a Baseball Savant page and you think, oh, well, he's not a fit, but at Wrigley Field, he's not a fit for the Cubs, I guarantee you the Cubs have all the models that suggest otherwise. And one thing is, for all the people talking about his pull power, the issue that might have at Wrigley Field, even if you take him out of the Trop, he was still a top 7 offensive third baseman in baseball this year.
Yeah. The Cubs got better after this trade. And while that is true, it is also true that Hunter Biggie and Tyler Johnson are just about to become Hall of Famers because they're pitchers that are
Oh,
going
they're
to
gonna
base. And
Biggie's
that's-
gonna be in. He's
Probably.
gonna be Mason Miller over there, basically. That's what I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Probably.
Yeah, that's just how that goes. Okay, I'm sure we'll touch on that trade more as time goes on here.
It's something you keep tabs on. Yeah.
Because if anybody can talk in circles, it's these three guys right here.
Mhm.
Okay, so and then we made a move with Toronto. We took a project on a little bit. We got Nate Pearson, hard throwing righty out of the bullpen. We sent Josh Rivera and Yohendrick Panago. Is that
Yohendrick Pinango, yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
We sent them to Toronto for Pearson. Couple of minor league prospects going to Toronto. Pearson immediately in the bullpen for the Cubs.
First game didn't go so well.
It didn't go so hot.
Yeah.
I blame the umpire
You
for
got
not
that
really.
Craig Counselor ejection you wanted.
I did get a Craig Counsell ejection. It's not how I wanted it to go
Yeah.
because
yeah.
he had every
I just-
right to gripe. And when I'm talking about arguing balls and strikes, there's a lot of these bad calls of balls and strikes that are like, okay, yes, technically it was a ball, but with 2 strikes, you got to be swinging at that. Like, you got to be
Yeah.
protecting the plate. But also, like, I just want Craig to get thrown out on a ball strikes call because I just want to see him have some fire. Like, have some fight, bro.
Oh no.
This one
Uh,
made all of the sense in the world to go out. And so, for
No,
all of you who missed it, Nate Pearson comes out for his first appearance with the Chicago Cubs. He gives up a home run and then immediately hits was it Tyler Stevenson?
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of hit him in the face. Well, not the
Yeah.
face, but he hit him in the head. And Stevenson kind of looked at him like, hey, you just hit me in the head. And Pearson was like, yeah, I obviously didn't mean to do that.
right.
It's pretty obvious I didn't mean to do that. The umpires get together and they throw Pearson out. And then Counsell goes out. And it takes forever to get Counsell thrown out. But eventually he does get thrown out. Just a weird situation. And it has nothing to do with the trade.
And
I
it was
don't
a
think it
complete
has.
blowout game too.
I don't think it has
Even-
anything to do to reflect of how Pearson is going to be for the Cubs. But what
No.
made me upset is John Boy tweeted out the clip and was like, hey, Nate Pearson's first appearance, he beamed someone in the head and got thrown out of the game. I was like, all right, Yankee fan, like have some perspective of the moment here. So
yeah, I think I saw that tweet too.
we
Yeah.
will see Pearson again, and hopefully a successful high leverage situation. But I will say that the events of the other night do not alarm me quite yet. I've seen the man throw 6 pitches, so maybe we
We'll
can
give
give
it
him
some
another
time.
chance here.
We'll give it
Yeah.
some time. I mean, this was kind of a project that they got, and it's a lower risk project. So
Yes.
you're trying to find as much bullpen future as you can. So
Yeah.
that was really why you're just making this move.
Right.
Yeah, it's essentially a redo of the Cody Hoyer trade.
Right.
Yeah,
you
taking a
have
shot.
you have a promising arm. You're probably going to let him just pitch out these final 2 months before you implement any real changes, and then your hope is you have a high leverage guy entering next season, kind of like what you did with Julian Merriweather when you initially claimed him off waivers from Toronto last year.
Yep.
Right.
I think that's the plan. So, and speaking of the bullpen, Mark Leiter Jr. takes off for the Yankees. The Cubs in return get a shortstop by the name of Benjamin Cowles. I'm not good at names. Let's just call it what it is. Let's call it a spade a spade. And then Jack Neely, right-handed pitcher. Already, Cowles is 30th on the Cubs prospect list, and Neely immediately 20th on the Cubs prospect list. So we did get some top prospects back for Mark Leiter Jr., and rightfully so, because Mark Leiter Jr. has been electric. He does have a over 4+ ERA right now, but I think the Yankees saw that that 4+ ERA really meant nothing because he's been electric for the Cubs, and has proven that he's one of those guys that you put in high leverage situations and he gets out of them. So overall, I like that trade. The shortstop kind of puzzled me, just because of the surplus of infielders now in the Cubs system, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point. And also he's out for the rest of the year because he broke his wrist. Neely, I think, is somebody that we might see by the end of the year, just coming out of the bullpen, firing some innings.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the trade, they're essentially replacing what they gave up in Josh Rivera and Hunter Biggie. You find yourself another relief project with a big arm. You find yourself another middle infielder who, by all accounts, prior to the injury, the Yankees were relatively high on. Ron Kumar was on the score yesterday. He was talking to guys. He projects as maybe not an everyday player at the major league level, but a player that can come in, start 2 to 3 games a week, play multiple positions. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's not that hard to see what the Cubs did with the Mark Leiter Jr. trade,
No.
and that's why I find it annoying with some outlets in the city. They look at the Cubs, they look at Tom Ricketts, and they think every move is derived from them trying to save money. They're trying to speculate. Well, wait a second. Mark Leiter Jr., he's due for a pay raise. That has to be the reason why the Cubs traded him. No, the Cubs traded him because if you look at the Cubs pitching infrastructure, they've actually been pretty good at churning out relievers at the major league level. They can replace Mark Leiter Jr.
That's
Mind
yeah.
you.
He's
Yeah,
a
we talk about
33-year-old reliever. I mean, he's
Yeah.
awesome. I love Mark Leiter Jr.,
Yeah.
but come on, you're overthinking a very basic move here.
Yeah.
And I think we're forgetting how
100%.
good the Cubs system is right now.
Yeah.
The fact that like we could trade Leiter Jr. and we get 2 prospects back that are immediately on our top prospect list and that are
Yep.
pretty close to being ready to be in the major leagues, it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. And on top of knowing all of those arms that are going to be ready to come up, we've seen it this year. Like how many relievers have we seen go up and down and up and down? Like
Yeah.
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Like Alex was saying, it's not that hard to see what the Cubs are doing with this trade.
Yeah. So overall, yes, quiet, better word. Quiet deadline for the Cubs. And I don't know what people were expecting because we talked about it even before the Cubs trade deadline or the trade deadline. What?
I think if
Okay,
if we have a side by side of this Tommy with the Tommy we had last Thursday,
Yeah, this is quite. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yeah.
You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
We should have expected this because I've been saying for months that the Cubs are stuck. There's nothing they can do. They are stuck because of things that they did not do before this. When they get to the deadline, you're telling me that they didn't get the right deal for Jamison Tyone? You're telling me that nobody wanted Drew Smiley? You're telling me all these veteran guys, Hector Neris, can only come out of the bullpen 20 more times before you have to pay him for next year? You're telling me all these people didn't want these things? Yeah. Duh. Like, the Cubs are stuck. There is not much that they could do. And you could trade Nico Horner, but what the hell will that do for the future? Like, if you're talking about competing in 2025 or not being done in 2024, why would you move on from Jamison Tyone or Nico Horner? Because Jamison Tyone is going to be $18 million next year. And all I hear about is, oh, well, Cade Horton and all these guys that are in that Ben Brown is coming back and all these things. I'm sorry. I think those guys are going to be good. I would love for them to be fantastic. But we know what Jamison Tyone is, and there's a good chance that he's not that old. There's a good chance that what we saw this year, even if he's like 80, 85% of what we saw this year, hoping that the offense is going to be better, like, I'll take that over putting all of my chips in the middle on Cade Horton being the next great thing that happens to the Cubs. You know? Like, it's just, and then the Nico thing.
Well, all I say, I think with Tyon, what people kind of lost focus last week is people thought the Cubs were intently looking to move Tyon to get out of that contract. And that was my biggest issue with people mad about that aspect, because that on its surface, it's not true. The Cubs are not looking to get out of any contract.
What bad is that contract? Like, how is that a bad contract?
And it comes down to, if you're going to make a move for players that are ready to contribute at the major league level, Tyon would be one of the few pieces you can move. Clearly, the Cubs probably didn't get an offer they felt would get players ready to contribute at the major league level. So he's here because the goal is to contend next season. That's why They didn't strip down his salary like they did Yu Darvish. It was a very straightforward deadline, but again, I think with certain people on Cubs Twitter, they tend to doomsday scroll a bit when it comes to the Cubs because they think, oh, they're trading Jameson Taillon. They just want to be cheap. When there's no proof of that. And that was just my biggest issue last week when it comes to people talking about Taillon.
Well, the idea of
Yeah.
trading Tyone really was you have a veteran on a team in an organization that has a lot of pitching depth, and why not try to take advantage when his value probably won't be this high, even
Right.
when he's normal. He's really a high threes, low fours ERA pitcher, and let's be real, some of the peripherals will tell you that he hasn't been a 299, 301 ERA pitcher going to sustain this year, that type of pitching. But I think that if they tried to find a deal, they were going to try to make it 100% worthwhile. And if they didn't find it, they weren't going to do it. So I understand that. I also understand not moving on from Cody Bellinger like some people would have speculated. He's been hurt. That's just bad luck. His contract is weird. The only thing I thought was I thought you would have found somebody to take Neris or Smiley or Talkman to give you something, because
see, those were the three, the three that you just mentioned right there. Those were the three that I was like, those are probably, like, I know everybody's staring at Nico and Jameson, but the three that you just mentioned, I was like, those are the three people should be looking at, because we've already talked about how successful the Cubs are at getting bullpen arms from their system and how good that they've been in that. And then Talkman has been like a great utility guy off the bench, and you need those in the playoffs. So
right.
Those were the three that I had my eyes on.
Maybe the injury had hurt him. I don't know, but I really thought that somebody out there would have said, hey, Drew Smiley, eat some innings for us when we need you down the stretch.
You talk about guys, that are never going to have this value again. Drew Smiley's probably at the top of the list.
Right. And I mean, remember, Drew Smiley's kind of been around, and he's been on some of those contending like teams in certain situations. If I remember correctly, he was on Atlanta that year they won it all. I thought he was.
Yeah,
I don't
he
remember.
was.
Yeah, because then the Cubs got him in 22. So I was a little surprised there. Am I going to make a big deal out of it? No, but it was kind of like, I really thought they could have done a few more things, but it is what it is. At the
I
end
really
of the day,
didn't think that anything that they would have gotten for anybody on this roster is anybody that would be able to help either this year or next year.
I mean, you're not talking about big needle movers or anything, but
exactly what Hoyer said the other day is exactly what played out. He was like, we're trying to build a team that's going to win, not like 2025. Like, we're going for 2025. And I felt like the moves that they made reflected that. So I don't know why everybody's up in arms, because they love Jed Hoyer so much, and he just did exactly what he said. So why is everybody all pissy?
Well, I mean, Judge Hoyer has become public enemy number one for a lot of Cubs fans, and for a lot of valid reasons. I don't think he gave Cubs fans much ammunition to be pissed about this deadline. Let's go back to Mike Tauchman real quick. He's entering his first year of arbitration. If, like we were saying, the moves that the Cubs made at this deadline was done for the team to contend in 2025. If we look at just a very general outline of the Cubs outfield picture next year, you're looking at Ian Happ, you're looking at Seiya Suzuki, you're looking at maybe Cody Bellinger, you're definitely looking at Pico Armstrong, and at some point you're looking at Owen Casey. What have we always said about Mike Tauchman? He's a perfect fourth outfielder on the contending team. If the Cubs are contending next year, you have that. What's been the weakness of the Cubs, even when they were a good team? A bad bench. So assuming you have three legitimate starters in the outfield of some mix I just gave you, Tauchman right there is your first bench piece, and he's a great bench piece to have.
Sure, yeah. So let's talk about this depth, because I think everything's going to pick up some speed and stuff as the winter meetings are going to come about. And this is going to be our topic here in the off season, I think the moves that some of the moves that we were expecting might be coming to a head this winter, because think of all these outfield pieces we got now, because if they're really banking on PCA figuring it out and being the center fielder, Belly is opting into his contract. Like
Be
nobody
surprised
else
if
is.
he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's gonna
No.
pay him that. He's not gonna do a Marcus Stroman and whatever he was thinking there. Say us
Actually,
is.
Stroman actually won that one. I mean, for
Did
all
he
the
get
jokes
more?
we had,
Oh, I
he
beg your
got more.
pardon.
Yeah.
All right, all right. I beg your pardon.
It was a win-win.
Yeah, whatever. So, anyways, Cody's not gonna get anywhere near,
No,
especially if he's doing what he's doing now. So he's opting in.
No.
PCA is supposed to be the guy in center. Ian Happ doesn't seem to be going anywhere. They're pushing too hard for the Japan opening series to get rid of Seiya. And then and then Owen Casey is in the minors, and there's a big surplus in outfielders. We talked about Mike Tauchman. Who am I missing? Because we got more down there. Kevin Alcantara. Canario. We got there's a lot of outfielders that are available, and some of the younger ones are looking a lot better than some of the guys up here. So there's gonna have to be some decisions there. And then if you look at the infield, Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson, and then Paredes is Jed Hoyer was on the Score today. He was talking about how Paredes, like they wanted him because they see him as the third baseman for the next few years. Matt Shaw's down there. Triantos is down there. Michael Busch seems everything to be the first baseman. So something's going to have to give there.
Yeah.
If we could convert one of these guys to be the next legendary catcher in baseball, that would be incredible. But I don't see that happening.
Mo Baller, yeah.
Mo Baller.
It's just, there's going to have to be some real tough conversations this winter, I think.
Yes, there are. Absolutely.
Because
for sure.
If some of these names that are in the minors and that are ready to go are kind of looking like better options than the ones that are at the major league level, but that also makes me feel hypocritical because of what I just said about Tyone being the starting pitcher that he is and not trusting Cade Horton and stuff. I'm in a qualm. I'm in a qualm, boys. Also,
Cubs,
who just hit a homer? Ian Happ. Ian Happ homered in Cincy. Of course he did, because why wouldn't he?
The Cubs don't have plenty of money to spend in the offseason. Here's the thing, Hoyer admitted it to today. The Cubs are never going to be at the top end of free agent spending in this current market. So that's where the prospect that you just talked about comes in handy, because more than likely the Cubs' biggest addition this offseason is going to come via a trade, for the exact reasons you just laid out. It kind of has to, because you have all these log jams in the outfield. You have these log jams in the infield.
And you're not signing Juan Soto.
Right.
I think
that was all but confirmed today.
Yes,
I mean, not that we didn't already know it, but Jed was like, I lean towards not making those risks. Yeah, no shit.
The Yankees are going to give him the bag. I don't see any other way.
He's not leaving New York.
He's staying in New York, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But you're going to have to use the prospect capital to address your biggest holes on the roster. Even after the addition of Paredes, you still do need to find that power bat this offseason. Maybe you revisit a trade with the Blue Jays. Maybe there's another power hitter out there that we just don't know is available. That's kind of the beauty of the winter meetings, right? I mean, it's not even August yet. It's not even August yet. We're talking about the winter meetings in December.
That's what losing teams do, and we're losers.
But that's kind of the beauty of the winter meetings, is there's often a trade or two that pops up where you're like, damn, I had no idea that guy was available. And then all of a sudden he's a Cub. But you're going to have to use that prospect depth in trades, and it has to start this offseason.
Yeah, and look, the Cubs are still painfully hurt at the catching position. We hope for the best of what we got down below, but we're desperate at this point for catching. We improved greatly with third base with Paredes, we're certainly putting our money where our mouth is there. And then Michael Busch has been everything and more that we wanted out of first base. And he's He's leading the team in average, I do believe, still. And he may not be the top of the list of first basemen in the league, but compared to what we've had at first base over the years, like we needed a stimulus package that was Michael Bush. And so he has been everything and more that we could have asked for. And if he just continues on this path, he will be one of those guys in the that could become one of the best first basemen. So we'll see.
Well,
and he's also got versatility.
Also, he is. I mean, amongst qualified first basemen this season, his WRC plus right now is at 125. That's fifth among all first basemen in baseball.
Yeah, so he is every bit of everything we need.
Just got his first hit as a Cub.
Attaboy.
There we go.
Oh, pulled it.
That is a double off the wall.
Did he make it to second?
Yes, he did.
Boy.
Yes, he did.
Cubs won the trade.
It's good to see. I will admit, it's nice to see a 17 out there doing some work.
Yeah, right.
It's nice. It also feels weird.
Like, it hurt. It hurt. It hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. I've always loved the number 17, regardless of the sport. But no, yeah,
I'm just excited to have a third baseman batting over 200.
Hey.
Good God.
Yeah.
Look, Christopher Morel is everything you want out of a teammate. Everything you want as a fan. Like, lives and breathes and dies and everything, blood, sweat, and tears on the field. Like, cares about the game so much. But you can say that he just wasn't it. Like, that's okay. He just wasn't it.
If you're a contending team, you have to gamble on production. You can't gamble on projection.
Yeah.
The Cubs couldn't have entered 2025 gambling on Christopher Morel's projection. They have to gamble on production. As we've said earlier, Paredes' production over the past 3 seasons has been among the best offensive third basemen in baseball. He's 25. He's under team control until, I think, 2028, 2022, 2029.
That's 9 to
28.
now.
I think it's 28.
28. He's here to stay. The Cubs have an answer at third base, which means we don't have to see the carousel of Miles Mastroboni and Nick Madrigal at third base.
Well, that's another big thing too. Is that you can't have a premier position in baseball in third base having a carousel of weak hitters, that don't drive the ball, that don't hit home runs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You were treating third base like the old time at second base or shortstop when they were more athletic and they weren't hitting home runs or putting anything. I mean, third base has always been the hot corner. That's where your run producers are.
Yeah. So, the Cubs got better.
Yeah, I would say so.
And
Bellinger.
What is that?
Oh, that never mind.
Look, the Cubs got better. And what does it mean for 2024? Not a whole lot. But we know that we're going to have a third baseman going into 2025.
Yep.
We know we got some reinforcements that may make an appearance in 2025. It doesn't seem like Jed, after hearing today, it doesn't seem like he's too keen on bringing anybody up this as the season goes on. He wasn't really into revealing if Dansby was hurt or not. So, look, I don't know. Like, can they go on a magical run? Sure. Will they? Probably not.
No.
Am I going to get my hopes up?
No.
Not until they sweep the Cardinals this weekend. Then we can talk.
That is not happening.
That's not happening.
There is not happening.
Yeah, but
are we going to have to face Fetty this weekend? Probably, right?
I didn't even think of it.
I think so. Let me take a look.
What if we rock him?
No, you know what's going to happen is that little weasel Tommy Pham is going to hit one off the video board.
Oh, that's
he
true.
So is. He's so
is. Fetty is the scheduled starter for Friday's game.
We're off tomorrow, right?
I think so.
Good.
That's perfect because both
Yeah.
both baseball teams are off for the Hall of Fame game. So it works out great.
Hey, I'm just saying, once kickoff starts tomorrow, baseball season's done. I said it.
I won't say it's done, and I'm still going to be paying attention. Look, across the league, there's some fun baseball almost every single night, you know?
For sure.
And so I'm never going to give up on the season. I'm going to, like, Yankees, Phillies has been so much fun this week.
Yeah.
And I think we got a couple other really good series this weekend.
The postseason's gonna be
SummerSlam is on Saturday, so
you already know. I cannot wait.
Alex, SummerSlam.
I'm watching the Chicago Dogs with a friend this weekend. So I'm still technically watching baseball, but
okay.
They can't hurt me. The Dogs can't hurt me.
Are you? I have a question for you, Alex. Just
Yes.
blindly, are you willing to acknowledge your tribal chief?
You better. He's coming back Saturday.
I don't even know what. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay.
I'm kind of scared.
Just know on Saturday, probably around like 9:55, you're going to hear an ovation from Cleveland. It's because our tribal chief is back.
And you will get selfies from Jordan and I going like this.
Okay.
Right.
Well, if you say so, then you better keep to your word. I better be sitting at that Dogs game and waiting for those texts to be coming in.
I bet you they'll stop the Dogs game to tell everybody.
They'll probably put it on the screen.
Yeah, I bet you they will.
Actually, you know what? If they did that, a lot of people started cheering. That would be even though I don't really understand it. That'd be a lot of fun. Next time
WWE comes to Chicago, we're going.
We're going.
No discussion.
Well, my one friend is really big into that stuff.
He can come too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll let him know.
What we gotta do, we gotta wait till next year when John Cena is doing his 12-month retirement tour, and we just go. We go to like a Raw SmackDown.
We could go to the Royal Rumble in Indy.
Oh, that's true.
It's only 3 hours.
Yeah. I'll be down.
Don't they do all that stuff at like the Allstate Arena when they come to
Chicago?
Yeah,
they have shows
at
Allstate.
The United Center.
Yeah. Every now and then.
Because do they ever do that stuff at the United Center? Because I always see it at the Allstate. It seems like whenever I hear about it, it's always at the Allstate.
Yeah, it's usually at the Allstate. I know AEW does the one in Hoffman Estates now Arena a lot. But no, WWE.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
WWE usually does. There, yeah, WWE usually does the Allstate.
Yeah. Because like I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure they've done it there, but like I rarely hear about that kind of stuff happening at the United Center. It always seems like it's at the Allstate. Or have they done anything at Wintrust? I don't know if they.
Yeah, AEW's been there.
Yeah.
They've been to Wintrust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be interesting to see when they change the United Center, the area around it. Would that be more enticing for them to? Because the thing with the Allstate is what's nice is that it's right by the airport. So you got people traveling in.
Also the United Center is one of the biggest arenas in the country.
It's the biggest in the NBA.
So they have historically saved it for like pay-per-views because of how big it is.
Right.
So if they feel like when CM Punk first came to AEW, they booked the United Center twice.
Yeah.
Because they knew like CM
you needed
Punk
as many
in
seats
Chicago, So I really think that the wrestling community is starting to grow again, which is nice.
It's like we said, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. The move to Netflix is going to be great because
it's going to be electric.
I can't tell you how many times, especially the past month, I'm getting annoyed with USA censorship.
Well, that and also I'm just going to like that, like, if a Monday I want to go to bed, I can just go to bed and watch it the next morning.
Next morning. Yeah.
I'm old now. I'm tired all the time.
Especially when we get closer to like the playoffs of football and like Monday night football games have meaning. So that's gonna be nice. But yeah, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Our tribal chief comes back Saturday. Alex, you're going to get those selfies. They'll probably acknowledge it at the game you're at on the big screen because it's a big moment.
What time is that gonna happen?
So the show starts at 6.
Does it start at 6?
Yeah. So my guess is probably closer to 9, maybe if it's a 3-hour show.
I'll say 9:04. It's gonna run over.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I figure the game's going to be 3 hours, and then they do fireworks afterwards. So I would.
So they're doing fireworks because of the return of the tribal chiefs.
Because of the return.
So all the other times they're doing fireworks to do it, but this time, this one night.
Yeah, those fireworks were for shits and giggles. This is like this is it.
I see. I see. You know what's funny is I was talking about how, like, I see all these events happening at the United Center or
Mhm.
at the Allstate Arena. It's just like when you picture an arena for that kind of event, like the Allstate just fits that bill to a
Oh yeah.
T.
Hmm.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's just kind of funny. Like when I picture that kind of event and being in the if I picture myself being in the stands, I'm like, yeah, that is so the Allstate, like an older kind of blue collary
Oh
cement
yeah.
cinder block
Yeah.
looking type of arena with 30-year-old blue seats and ancient concourse that looks like it was from 1983.
Some large
Oh, man.
40-year-old men with some plastic belts around their shoulder.
Right.
Oh yeah, and just gigantic moves that you could see through their shirt. It's great.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one time I went to a Raw. I met my cousin there, and I was there before he was. And he was like, "Oh, I'll just meet you at the seats." I'm like, "All right." So I was sitting at the seats by myself, and I looked at my surroundings and the people around me, and I texted him. I was like, "Please hurry. Please don't leave me here alone."
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, that about does it for our beautiful baseball extravaganza. We will be talking Cubs still.
Oh, yeah.
We'll slip in some White Sox, and if anything else cool happens in baseball, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But now tomorrow night, 6:00,
It's hell.
it's here. I'm very excited to see what everybody's apparel is going to be for the evening.
And
it's
let's just end on this. Beginning tomorrow, there will be a football game of some sort on every Thursday through next February at Valentine's Day.
Bliss.
We made it.
It's just we did it, boys. We did it.
We made it.
We did.
Another one down.
And you know
Another
what?
one down.
I'm never anxious to get to football season because I love the summertime in Chicago. I think summertime in Chicago is the best thing on earth.
One of the best.
I love going to Cubs games. I love watching baseball. I love that the sun is out all the time.
Yep.
But I'm a little excited for fall. I'm pretty excited for winter. And this Bears team, again, like, we'll get into it tomorrow. It's going to be my first line tomorrow, but we were stupid before, and now we are not.
Now. Yep.
Claws up.
Claws up.
Save it for tomorrow. Tommy. Save it for tomorrow.
Hesitation from Alex this time.
No,
yeah.
I'm gonna be excited for now until week 1. I'm not gonna let Bears Eeyore get me in the preseason.
There we go.
Just the preseason, okay?
Nothing
when
matters
the season
until
starts,
week 12.
then the jury's out again.
Right. Yep.
Nothing matters until week 12.
Oh yeah.
I'm ready.
All
right, boys. All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow. 6:00.
All right.
6:00.
Yeah.
6:00.
6 o'clock.